adverse childhood experiences, mentally abusing them, physically abusing them, sexually abusing them.
Adverse childhood experiences. We got the unpredictable stresses that children go through, like losing mommy or daddy, or watching them go to jail, forced to grow up because they've been touched down there. They even see parents depressed with no time to spare. This is why the kids are lonely, traumatized. That's why ACEs matter.
I'm gonna have to get it's okay, because one day this ain't gonna be the case. I'm gonna drop y'all off and I'm gonna bring y'all right back, okay? Hey, what it do, Facebook? What it do, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn? Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. I'm gonna do my best to try to stay right here with the camera, but I'd be thinking I'm talking to people. So needless to say, what it do, Facebook? We are back for a special edition of ACEs Matter broadcast live, and got some special guests for you. But before I begin, I want to share with y'all that there are approximately 330 million Americans today, give or take, right? And of those 330 million Americans, we have about 120 plus million adults walking around with these things called ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, AKA. What that data tells us is that we have a lot of adults walking around who need to heal from their childhood. And we didn't think that was fair. So ACEs Matter wanted to do something about it. So tonight's Throwback Thursday show features two very strong, mentally strong women who realized that their childhoods were influencing how they were navigating life as an adult. They didn't like it, so they decided to do something about it. I'm Cindy Stanford. I'm the founder and president of ACEs Matter. And tonight we bring you a community conversation about domestic violence, which is an ACE, how we even got into this conversation of having people who abuse us in our lives, like the source of it. And we're also going to talk about the path to healing a battered nervous system, because domestic violence batters your nervous system. So before I welcome our guests, I want to please ask you to accept this disclaimer. This show is for educational purposes only. And sometimes we talk about things that might trigger you, that might bring up an emotion or resurface an emotion or something that happened from childhood. And so we encourage any of our viewers to always get professional help, like people who are certified to help you with things. And I'm not talking about go call your homeboy or your homegirl Keisha that's going to say, let's roll up on them. Not that type of help, right? We want you to actually go get professional help if you hear or see something that triggers an emotion, because that is going to tell you that might be the source of whatever you're going through right now. And we also want people to know that you do not have to heal alone, because what happened to you in childhood is not your fault at all. It is probably not even your parents' fault, give or take. So please help me welcome our guests tonight by dropping your zip codes in the comments and sending a word of encouragement, because these ladies are about to share a piece of their story with a whole bunch of strangers on the internet. And we know that by opening up and sharing our stories, this is the only way we're going to get to a humanity that wants to heal. And I'm going to go hashtag for tonight. Our hashtag for tonight is we need more mentally healthy adults. To get there, we got to start working on ourselves and realizing the source of where our struggles come from as an adult. And the common denominator is telling us that these are adverse childhood experiences that has disrupted the way that our brains and bodies were designed to develop. So help me welcome tonight's guests. I'm going to bring them on screen in just a minute. I see one of them moving around down here in the broadcast. I am glad I bring you on right there. I'm going to welcome tonight's guest. Coming on first is Miss Shequila. Miss Shequila, go ahead, welcome on. And then I got Miss Reba. Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Hello.
How's the sound?
It's pretty
I hear you loud and clear.
When you get extra money, try to pay a bill off so it goes. It's not a part of next month. Boy, I have no idea what Kevin Wall is talking about, but okay, we gonna move on. But we got some people already watching, so here we go. So, ladies, I'm so happy to have y'all here. Were y'all able to hear me okay when I had you off screen? Could y'all hear?
Yes.
Okay, all right, because we haven't done this in about 2 months. We took a 2-month break to try to improve the show. So, as I was telling Reba before you jumped on, Shequila, my air conditioner was up to like 78 when I got out of my seat, and I was in here burning up, and I was thinking I'm having hot flashes. Like, Lord, I
hate hot flashes. Oh,
I can't be over here sweating. So let's do this, y'all. I want to do something that I have not done before in the previous shows, and that thing is I'm going to share my screen to introduce you all. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to introduce Shequila Roberts, and then I'm going to introduce Reba Bell to the audience. And then again, audience, if y'all want to show your appreciation, if you're watching tonight, drop your zip code so our guests can know where people are tuning in from, and we can also know like who else is learning about ACEs as a result of us using our platforms to go live. So drop your zip codes in the comments and leave us some questions if you want to know much more about adverse childhood experience and domestic violence. I don't need that. Why do I always have like computer issues? Here we go. Y'all ready? I'm about to share my screen. Share screen. I want to share a window. I'm doing this again. I'm going to get it right this time. Here we go. I'm going to get it right. I did it. All right. So, actually, I got something I want to do over here. Y'all hang on. We're going to get this right. This is going to be all the way live. It's going to be all the way live. It's going to be all the way live. All the way live. Come here. Where are you? Bam. All right. So when I do the Reacher show, Reba, because I won't have to be navigated and talking at the same time, I'm gonna be producing it from the background. So all y'all stuff gonna flow a lot freely than what I'm doing tonight. But anyhow, Shequila,
yes.
Say it again.
Shequila, like tequila, Shequila.
Ooh, I got it. Shequila like tequila. Did I get it right?
You got it.
All right. So Shequila like tequila, but no association, is a mom, a published author. She's a Crave alumni, entrepreneur, CEO. You fell in love with the Most High, and that's how you're here today with this. God, for those of y'all that may not be familiar with the term Most High, most of us are. You wake up in Orlando, Florida every day. And then I like to say, too, that we are all a work in progress. Because a lot of time people looking like, oh, I can never get there because I'm not perfect like that. So I like to say we're all a work in progress. Does this order of events pretty much indicate how things have gone about in your life? Mom, published author, Crave entrepreneur, Crave alumni, entrepreneur, fell in love with Most High, and you wake up in Orlando every day. Is that about right?
So the only thing that I would probably tweet is the fell in love with Most High. It came like right after I had my son with hardships and different challenges. But yeah, other than that, yeah, you did a great job.
All right, that's representative. All right, you ready, Reba? You next. Ready? You are next. Let me make sure I get this right there. Ooh, that pretty girl, Reba. So Reba, here's your bio in a snapshot. You are a mom and a wife. You're a college graduate, entrepreneur, CEO, published author. You too also fell in love with Most High, and you wake up every morning right now in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And would you agree that even though all of these things that are prior to work in progress, that you are a work in progress? You're a whip.
Yes, I am.
Whip. WIP, we whips. We all are whips. I don't want to get confused with the other girl stuff, but we're all whips. We are work in progress, meaning like we are constantly trying to heal and constantly trying to recognize the source of like where we want to grow.
Yeah.
Would y'all say that's about accurate?
It's about accurate.
That's about accurate. We've got a couple of people that have tuned in. William from 48906, thank you for tuning in. We got William Haywood from 60637. Thank you for tuning in tonight. So I want to do this next. Thank y'all so much for being here, because we realize that having this conversation, about ACEs is not always easy. And then, hold on, before I do that, I want to get that off the screen. I want us to be like this. I want us to be like this. I'm gonna figure it out. I don't like that. I don't like that layout either. I don't like that layout. Maybe I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try this layout just for now. And I'll do this in a minute. So, Reba, you're gonna talk to us a little bit about why you wrote this book called A Blessing in Disguise, right? And you wrote A Blessing in Disguise, and I had a chance to read it. But before we go into talking about the book, I wanted to ask, to make sure the audience understands, we all have a working definition of what domestic violence means. So I'm going to put literally a Google definition up there. We're going to watch a quick video clip, and I want to tell my audience, if you're watching, please, trigger warning. This video, a lady on her social media page did it just as an example. Even though she was acting on the video, the kid did not know they were acting. So I'm giving y'all a heads up right now, if you're watching, that there is going to be a video that helps break down the definition of domestic violence. But the purpose of us doing this is to make sure that we all have a working definition of what domestic violence is before Reba starts to talk about, her experience going through writing the book. Is that cool? Y'all with me? All right, here we go. I'm going to put this back up. I got to get this right. I'm going to get this right. Yeah, I did it. I did it again. I'm so good. I'm so good. I have this little thing I'm going to do. All right, so according to the dictionary, domestic violence is defined as a violent or aggressive behavior within the home, typically involving the violent abuse of a spouse or a partner. I'm going to go back to here. So the way I interpreted that, and I want to see if y'all think of it different, just so that we can all be on the same page with our audience. I underlined within and typically, because the way they define it, at least for me, we typically associate, because it uses the word domestic, that it's happening in the house, right? And then it said typically involving the violent abuse of a spouse or a parent. But I thought typically, because sometimes domestic violence could also be mama and older brother constantly getting into it and fighting and arguing, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be the siblings constantly fighting, getting into it with each other, because that is violence. The idea is that it's happening in the home and that it's violent. And to a child, it's abnormal, right? So how do y'all see the definition? Do y'all see it differently? Would you add anything to it?
Well, I would add to what you said, honestly, because you hear me? Can you hear me well? Okay, I would add to it because my history with domestic violence before I got in a relationship wasn't, and we're going to talk about that later, but wasn't something that I seen. I didn't see my mother getting abused physically. My mother was a single mother of 6 kids, and I experienced domestic violence in my household, in a form of neglect. And we'll talk about more of that later, but verbal and emotional abuse. And a little bit of domestic violence is that, but it's all those factors plus that. So when we put it in a broader spectrum, then we can understand what domestic violence is about, and not just say that it's just a physical abuse between partners and spouses, because it's generally not true in my experience.
Okay. Shequila, would you add?
So yeah, I would definitely say within it should be underlined, because it can take place anywhere. And typically it's just, and it can happen with any relationship. So I definitely agree with how you explained it.
Okay, let's do this. Let's watch this video. I thank y'all for adding value to that. I'm going to play this video real quick for the audience. And y'all let me know if can you hear the sound?
Yes.
So, I got permission to reshare that video from the lady who created it. Her Instagram handle was on there. But she did disclose in her caption that the daughter did not know that they were acting, because she advocates for healthy relationships. And so what she was trying to do is explain to people like what that does to a child. And of course the child is 5 years, that was a long time ago, but what she was trying to do was explain to her audience like what is happening in the minds of, you know, kids when they see their parents arguing like that. She explained to her daughter later on that, hey, daddy and mommy were just doing something for a video. It wasn't real. But all I wanted to show is like what was happening right then in that baby's body is what adverse childhood experiences is trying to say loud and clear. That baby doesn't know play. All she saw was something ain't right. It looks like daddy is hurting mommy and I can't help. I am helpless. What can I do right now? All I know how to do is cry, because I mean, obviously I'm not big enough to fight daddy back or like help mommy. So I'm going to cry because I have not learned another way to say, hey, stop, you know, can y'all just talk about it? So for adverse childhood experience is, and as Reba's going to share with us later on, what was happening in that brain and body of that baby is there are chemical changes going down in her body in that very moment. If there was an fMRI machine on her, we would literally see physical changes happening in her brain, because her brain is like, what? A bear is in the house, right? Her brain would do the same thing if a lion was chasing her, right? And so imagining having to see that lion every day, it basically makes her brain and body rewire themselves to constantly be in fight, flight, or freeze mode. In that situation, she was kind of in freeze mode because all she could do was cry, right? So Reba, I wanted to ask you, you wrote a book, and your book is called
A Blessing in Disguise.
Blessing in Disguise. Blessing in Disguise. So I want you to do us a favor. Would you mind taking us through a page in chapter 6 that starts off, and then we'll ask some questions following that? This is really cool, y'all. We actually get to hear the author read out loud. And I think that's so cool, because I told her today, I was like, girl, you're going to be on Oprah with this book. Look, y'all, no joke. I got my copy. I was like, I can totally like read this like while I'm getting my toes done. And it was so good. I just want to let you know, it was really good, like really, really good. And I emailed Reba back and I said, I related to this. Like, I felt like I was reading a piece of my own story, at least for my childhood. So thank you so much for doing this. Can you read a little bit of chapter 6 for us?
Yes. Thank you for putting me on the spot. But
hey, what else we gonna do?
Hey, we gotta go with it. Go with it. Okay, so we're reading from chapter 6, as you see on the screen, and it's called Mr. and Mrs. Brokenness. And I titled this and it says Dr. Cotton, if you have the book. This because at the time that I learned about Mrs. Brokenness, it was between me and my husband. We was getting therapy from a close coach, church member of ours, and it was a minister of ours, and he used to come to the house every week, and he kept saying, you know, who guys are right now are not the people that you and if you can look at yourself over on how you want to be, you will see that right now you are Mr. and Mrs. Brokenness. And that is Reba, and my husband is named Thomas, and that is Thomas over there. And that always resonated with me. And this was years ago, but that always resonated with me. So that's why I named Mr. and Mrs. Brokenness, because this was one of the random times that I had to wake up to Mrs. Brokenness. So here we go. Anytime that you go through physical, emotional, and mental abuse, you get to a point where you may have a broken mindset. Meaning, what happened to you in your past, things that happened to you as a child, or things that happened to you when you were a teenager, or even as adult may come up through your relationships. Most times, 9 times out of 10, that's where it starts. It started with a broken mindset. Sometimes, and some things, routine, maybe you may get used to. Maybe you see your mother get abused. Maybe you see your father being abusive to your mother, or vice versa. Abuse happens on both ends. It happens with mother and fathers. It can happen with a mother verbally abusive to her husband, and it can happen with a father being physically abusive to his wife. It could be that you were abused as a kid, whether it was emotional, mental, or physical, as I said before. When you go through that at an early age, in an early stage, it becomes a learned behavior. Things that are carried along with you, that comes with anger, come with rage, they come with believing that you were not supposed to be something, believing that you're a negative and not a positive.
Wow. 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 I gotta unmute. Wait, Shequila, did that resonate with you?
I'm ordering my book when we get off of this.
That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here
Absolutely.
for. That's what we're here for.
Right.
Reba, I don't know if it's my internet or yours, but it did freeze a little bit, but I heard the audio the whole time. Did you hear the audio the whole time, Shequila?
Mine started going in. It froze a little bit, but I made out the rest of what she was saying.
All right.
So is it on my end?
It might have, I don't know. It don't matter, but we heard it. We'll figure it out. We still got people viewing. Y'all drop some comments if y'all interested in the author. I'm gonna ask her a couple questions as we go through, but I wanna repeat what you said in chapter 6, and it was something that brought me back to the idea of adverse childhood experiences. And it was that very first line. Anytime you go through physical, emotional, or mental abuse, you get to a point where you may have broken mindset, meaning that whatever happened in your past, things that happened to you as a child, things that happened to you when you were a teenager, things that happened to you when you were a young adult, come up through your relationships. I was like, that was deep, right? Like, that's all that adverse childhood experience is trying to tell us. Like, we got a whole bunch of grown adults that are having to heal from their childhood. And that ain't right, in my opinion. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'm like, we didn't even have no First Amendment rights growing up. And now all of a sudden, you trying to tell me I got to fix myself as an adult because of what happened in my childhood?
Right.
That just didn't seem right.
Right.
That did not seem right
Exactly.
to me. So one more
And
time,
once
I'm
you
going to share
start,
my
you know.
screen because this is a version of Throwback Thursdays, right? This is called Throwback Thursdays, and it's not called Uh-oh, I got the wrong one up. Don't y'all look at my screen yet. Don't look at my screen yet. Hold on. I got another one. Shequila, I'm going to put you on the spot. You don't even know yet. She like, what is that? What is that?
Right.
I got another one. I found it. It is Throwback Thursday. So I got some questions for you, Reba, in terms of you deciding to come forward and like share your story about, not just your childhood, but about how your first relationship with your oldest son's father evolved. So can you tell us, just tell the audience, why were you inspired to share your story and gifts this way?
Just let me know if you guys can hear me. And if you can't, just let me know. But I wanted personally to share my story because first, it was something that God inspired me to do. Honestly, it was something that was always on my heart. Even when I went through it 13 years ago, my son was 3 weeks. I knew that wasn't the person that I wanted to be. And I always knew that I had a story to share. I was scared in the past to share it. But currently, within the last few years, I did want other men to be like me, to be hurt, bitter, angry, go through what I went through and not be an overcomer, because sometimes when you go through that, and most of the time we're still living in the victim mindset, meaning, yeah, we got out of the abuse, but we're still blaming other people. We don't want to get the healing. We don't want to get the therapy. And so the inspiration for writing the book was the process of what I went through to be an overcomer, because I am an overcomer. I'm not a victim anymore. So to understand that when you are overcomer, you're living a different life, and you can help other people, and you can heal from it. You don't have to still be in the victim mindset. For a long time, I had to realize I was still in a victim mindset years later because I was still, processing the things that I didn't over.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, Shequila, I know we wanted to have you on the show because your company is about helping people, I'm going to say, reset their minds using like meditation. So, based on what you know about meditation and domestic violence, like what would you say is one of the benefits of people meditating who have gone through situations like domestic violence?
Right. I would definitely say the anxiety that comes along with that territory, coping mechanisms. It's a go-to for many survivors. I'm not going to say domestic violence victims. Thank you, Reba, for that. Survivors. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I'm not going to get off. Okay, I'm going to stay on focus. Okay. But yeah, with meditation, it helps with anxiety. It helps with help you de-stress and calm down. The first thing I would say is to breathe. It brings down the nerves. Because with experiencing domestic violence, of course, that's physical, mental, emotional, like Reba said. You get in meditation, we gonna deal with it. Physically, we sitting here. Emotionally, we still and we listening.
Yeah.
And so we just get everything in a line at that moment, calm. We remind that we're safe. You're safe, you're cool, you're calm. You get in that place, and then you're able to receive messages meditation about whatever it is that you have going on. But it does help you. It does comfort, in my experience and what I have experienced with domestic violence. Did I answer your question?
Thank you.
Because I'm trying not to go all
yes.
over. I'm trying to stay focused.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna save it for you to really go deep because we do talk about the problem. Like ACEs is a problem, right? We realize that ACEs are a problem, but a lot of times we don't talk about like how do we fix it. So we want to make sure that we give people who watch the show like this is what worked for me. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna work for you, but you'll never know until you try, right? So I do know when I talked to Reba, like meditation was one of the ways that she used to try to calm her nervous system back down because she had now 2 kids, right? So it ended up being one of the strategies that she used on her healing journey. So I'm curious now, Reba, and I'm gonna probably ask you these same questions too, Shequila. Who do you hope to empower? I know you alluded to a little bit about men and women, but who do you hope to empower sharing your story the way you're sharing it right now?
Me?
Reba. Reba on that one.
I'm sorry. It would be more geared toward. It'd be more geared towards the person that actually wants the healing, because a lot of times when we going through something and we're in it, a lot of times we say we want the healing and we really don't. We just want to do the process, but don't want to do the work, and it's a different. Want to go through the process of breathe, and then, okay, it was just a good book. Okay, great, But I want to inspire and empower those that actually say, okay, even though I can't do it exactly how you do it, it's different tips and different ways that you can live a happier life after you've been in a domestic violence relationship. And it is possible. And by me being the example of it's possible. No, I'm not perfect. No, I do not have this perfect life. But I do want to empower people that I do have a healthier life. I do have a happier life. And I am still dealing with things that I have to process and heal from. And that also it's about helping other people. That's just my main objective and goal, helping other people. I want to help people that see a problem with themselves, because like I said earlier, you can't play the victim and point the finger, see a problem with themselves and want to get the help.
Yeah. Hold on real quick. Speaking of helping other people, check out that stat that I pulled up earlier today.
Wow. I remember that.
You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
I just heard you say that helping other people like that want to be healed, because it does require work. And so I went back to my Parkway days, and I'm like, so if you're tired of being tired, you might want to reach out to meditation with Shay, or like figure out something. Right?
Listen, I have a disclaimer. I'm with Reba on that. Like, you have to do the work. Like, nobody else can't do the work, and you have to be accountable. You know, you have to do the work. So
accountable. And to know that if we were to line up, like if we put one more woman on this screen right here, it says 1 in 4 women have experienced severe intimate partner violence. I'm gonna say I haven't experienced intimate partner violence, but I know I grew up in a home where my mom experienced this. So right here, and the two of y'all have been through it. So like, I don't know where they got that data from, but right here, just if it was another person on the screen, like it's more common than we can think about. So it means a lot that you are willing to share this. So I'm going to take you out the hot seat, and then we're going to take a quick commercial break. But before we do the quick commercial break, I want to ask you one other question as it relates to the domestic violence that you experience. And it's, what are the red flags or warning signs you noticed before you entered into that relationship?
One main thing was the solitude. Anytime you're in a relationship and someone wants to solitude you and it's just you and them, I was a big person that wanted to bring him around my family. And it's like when he came around my family, it was more like, I want to be quiet, but I had to understand that was just something that he had to process, and he wanted to be quiet to himself. And I remember one day, my mom asking me after a family gathering at her house, why was he just so quiet and just sitting in the corner? Now, mind you, I'm not telling anybody what I was enduring and what I was going through.
Wow.
Okay. My family didn't find out about it until I got out of it. Until I literally walked out of it. Yeah, until he was in jail. So
are you serious?
That was a very hard thing for me because I was putting on a facade. Another red flag is the honeymoon phase of I'm sorry and it won't happen again. And then we're good. And then it happens again a day later, so it became a continuing path that we're just very toxic for each other. So that will be two main things: the solidation of not really want to be around anybody, because sometimes most people, and like this to say he's a bad guy, he just didn't know himself at that time, and so he wanted to solitude because he knew what he was at that time. You know what I'm saying? And he knew what we was going through. So it was kind of like we was putting up a facade. Both of us was.
I actually lied. Thank you for sharing that, because you just said something that reminded me about what I asked you earlier, and I have to know the answer to this one. I think the audience could take something away from this one. But it was, when did you realize something wasn't quite right in the way your life was evolving? I think today the way I asked you was, when did you realize something wasn't right with yourself? And you talked about he actually wasn't your first abuser.
Right. So pretty much, you want me to talk about that part or the other part?
Blend those together. So
okay.
What did you mean when you said he wasn't your first abuser?
Okay, so when I say he wasn't my first abuser, I didn't realize until I started literally writing this book that he wasn't my first abuser. My mom was. And my mother was, like I told you earlier, a mother with 6 kids. And she was a single mom, and she raised us the best way she can. Like I said, tell people all the time, once you become an adult and you become an accountability, you don't blame your parents. After a while, you just have to get the help that you need. So this is not a jab at my mom. This is the reality. So until I realized that my mother was my first abuser because I was neglected, I'm the 4th, and my brother and sisters. And because my sisters that's under me was 7 and 9 years under me, my sister and brother that was over me is 1 and 2 years over me. So it was a lot of things that I was going through emotionally. That I was by a child. I was very sweet and under my mom as a child, that it was like she didn't have to worry about me. So she felt like she didn't have to worry about me. So that in a form of neglect, it was like I was always getting the good grades, and she focused on my brother and sister that was just out in the street bad, running away from home. All the things I was encountering as a child, I was getting neglected. And then another thing is, when we got a little older, instead of me expressing myself as a child and as a teenager, when I became an adult, all those things that she was doing, emotional abuse. My mother was a heavy alcoholic the first 12, 13 years of my life. So I seen that, so when I got older, instead of me, it's because I love my mom so much as a child, instead of me expressing things when I was a child, as an adult, I became an angry adult. To the point of fact, people looking at me like, why are you so angry? And I didn't even know at the time I was just angry. I had to go through a whole process and accountability and therapy and counseling to understand most of my anger stemmed from my mom, of what I got done to. And like I said in the books, then that's when I realized my mother was my first abuser. So it helped me to understand and accept the abuse that I endured with my son's father. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I accepted it because it was something I was used to. Like, you neglect me, you do this the way you love me. And it's like, no. So
it was kind of like I'm hearing what Damon, my colleague Damon, said, is that what we call what they call ACEs is what we call culture, right? It happens. It was kind of like something we used to. So I have to put this up here, and I realize maybe my energy is off, because y'all know that one thing I did not do that I always do before I go live. I did not stop and pray. I did not do that. Lord, I'm sorry. Lord,
listen, right.
Sorry. So I always do that. And you know what? And this is the perfect segue to tell people, don't ever be trying to do your life without Most High. This is my favorite verse out of the scripture. And you kind of like led me to this by what you said earlier. Ephesians 6:12 would be a verse that I would tell every parent to make sure that their child understands. And here's why. First, for we do not, I abbreviated this because there's a caption limit on here, but this is I want to say NIV version. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this age, and against spiritual, and I wish I could color code the word host, of wickedness in heavenly places. The reason why I wish I could color code the word host is because the gentleman that you were with, that was abusive to you, what scripture tells us is that there was a host inside of him acting on behalf of the adversary. And so when we stay in these relationships, and when we stay with these people after they apologize, or after they come back and say, oh, baby, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it anymore, we have to understand that we are not magicians, and we can't have a magic wand to all of a sudden take that host out of them. This is only for those that believe in scripture, or believe in energies, or believe in, let's say, spirits. Whether you're an energy believer, a spirit believer, or a scripture believer, like, it is here in history to say it is not your responsibility to change that person. That person has to want to change themselves. There is a host that is a lot stronger than us that is operating in that person's body. And so they know, right? He tells us that Satan is pretty smart. If I don't want Reba to leave, I know I need to apologize to her before she goes, but then I got 24 hours to do what I did again. That is that host coming back and saying, I tricked you in the stand, right? So I think if nothing else, parents have to, if they really want to raise mentally healthy adults, have conversations with them about people who sometimes are taken over by these things called spirits, negative energies, or hosts, if you will. It is in the book. Take a look. We do not make this stuff up. And the reason why I say that, I'm not making excuses for your ex-husband. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm saying that he used to be a child.
He wasn't my husband, but
okay, so your older, your baby daddy. So your first baby daddy. It makes me want to know, like, what was he exposed to in his childhood to make it okay for him to put his hands on you as an adult? That's what I would want to know, right? Do you know much about it?
I did find that out. I did find that out shortly after that. And that's what part of the chapter 2 was about, the forgiveness of forgiving. Chapter 1 is forgiving yourself, but chapter 2, forgiving others. That was part of the process, because I remember him writing a letter while he was in jail and explaining to me why he was the way he was. And instead of me seeing him as this evil person, I seen him as a person. You get what I'm saying? I seen him at that moment, not saying that we was going to get back together, but I ended up seeing him as a normal human being that I had to forgive. First of all, because of I had a son bound, let's just state that fact. I didn't want my son seeing an unhealthy relationship going forward. He had to be in my life. Secondly, I didn't want my son to be in a bitter, after effects of the bitterness between me and his father. So I had to, on my end, personally, forgive him. And when he wrote me that letter, it just opened up me to say, wow, okay. And I learned things about his past. I learned things about him. He didn't have to write me a letter. He could have just said, forget you and to heck with it. And we never go back together after he got out of jail and everything. We formed a relationship now, up until now still, that formed a relationship that's centered around our son. And we have a great relationship. Most people that know our history is very surprised that we have a great relationship. I only say it's to God, because at the time that I went into the domestic shelter, I hated him. I cannot lie to you. I literally hated him and wanted him to die, because I was in a situation where I got a 3-week-old baby and I'm sitting there like, I don't know none of these people in here, and I got these people that tell me what to do, and I got a curfew. It was a whole mindset change that I had to encounter and endure before I had to forgive him.
I appreciate that. Miss Reba Bell, if people wanted to order your book, it looks like we can find it on Amazon, but you also have a link. If you don't mind dropping it in the chat or the comments, so there's a direct way that people can buy your book. Y'all, I'm going to highly encourage it. I haven't finished reading everything because I just got it this week, but she told me to go to chapter 6 because that was her favorite one, and I was like, I'm going to start there. But I do know this will be an easy read. The book, you get 37 pages, 36 pages, 37 talks about the author. But anybody that you know that has gone through, grew up in a domestic violence, a house that had parents or siblings that were experiencing domestic violence or witnessing domestic violence, I'd highly encourage it. If you are overcoming it, or maybe if you're sitting in it right now and not sure what to do, Reba Bell is an inspiration and can inspire you to let that host go. Okay, to let that host go. And Reba, your hate, what I'm hearing for that man was actually hate for that host, right? Because at the end of the day, that is your baby's father, and we can only pray for people like that to have those hosts removed from them, because God doesn't put people like that on earth to hurt us, right? So we do know that there's other powers at work. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm not done with you, because I'm going to bring Miss Shequila back when we come back from the break. We're going to take a quick we're going to take a quick 1.5-minute break. But when we come back, we're going to hear from Miss Shequila out here in Orlando, Florida. She's going to talk to us about her book and what she uses to help not just herself heal, but she's going to also share that she's actually impacted over 500 kids here in the Florida area doing the work that she does, starting with the kids. And as Ms. Reba shared earlier, she didn't want her son growing up around that. So what Ms. Reba did was Ms. Reba prevented ACEs from perpetuating themselves into her son when he becomes an adult. So thank you so much. So when we come back from the break, you're going to be in the hot seat, Miss Shequila. You're going to be, she's like, okay, I'll do it. You're going to be in the hot seat. All right, y'all stay with us. Drop some comments. We'd love to see if you guys have any questions. In the meantime, check this out.
What would have life been like for you if you could have skipped childhood? If you could help people be better, healthier adults, would you? Truth is, the fact that every person on earth had to experience childhood is enough to care about the ACEs Matter cause. ACEs are so common that 1 in every 6 people have been exposed. Average childhood experiences, aka ACEs, are like time capsules of a traumatic past and a looking glass into a blurry future. ACEs are one of the root causes to poor employee performance, mental illness, crime, disease, and even poor quality of life, just to name a few. According to the CDC, 8 out of the 10 leading causes of death in the US correlate with the exposure to 4 or more ACEs. If they can be predicted, they can be prevented. ACEs Matter is on a mission to stop generational cycles of ACEs, and you can help by starting a campaign or making a small tax-deductible donation. You can help 1 million families get the support that they need to treat and heal from childhood adversities that have affected their adulthoods. We want to hire, train, and deploy 250 community influencers by the end of 2025. Our goal is to raise $1.3 million in order to begin with operations for this initiative. Donations would go towards mobile deployment of trained trauma professionals, community outreach, and door-to-door awareness. Get involved, see the results, save a life, and repeat. Visit acesmatter.org to learn more. Let's be real, we need to heal.
We're back. We're back. Oh no, that's not the screen I want to show. That's the screen I want to show. Well, we're back with you, Miss Shequila, in the hot seat. And I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Miss Reba. Let's all get the same working definition of this thing called meditation. And I have a confession.
Okay.
When I first Googled it, I accidentally copied and pasted mediation. And I was like, I read the definition. I was like, that is not what meditation means. And so I just have to go on record to say mediation and meditation are not the same thing. Even though you need to meditate before you go into mediation, they are not the same thing.
Right.
So the working definition of meditation, there I go saying it. It said on the dictionary that it means to engage in mental exercise such as concentration on breathing or mantras. And then I really like this part. It said for the purpose of reaching a heightened level of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna lie. When I started doing it, the very first time I started doing it, it wasn't for me. I was like, I can't sit still this long. I got stuff to do. And I gave up for at least a couple of years. Like, but they was bringing me in my school. I was a school principal and they were bringing them in my school and everything. And I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to tell the kids to do it, but I can't do it. That's how like busy my nervous system was.
Right.
But when I did start meditating, girl, I got access to that third eye and I like have to have it. I need it before I need a glass of wine. Like I need to meditate. So it really does work. But I want you to share with us the same questions that I was asking Reba earlier. Like what empowered you to do your work the way you're doing it right now?
So I would say my childhood experiences.
Really?
Yes. I took a class. It was an emotional intelligence class. That's my lane. I love that kind of stuff. And in that class with people at the ELAR Institute,
Okay.
I took that class and I learned. We dived so deep into my childhood. I was like, okay, how is this gonna work for me? How is it gonna work for me, right? And so when I wrote down everything that I experienced, it let me know my passion for helping children and families because I wanted, like Reba wanted to prevent it from her son. I want to help the kids heal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like. I've experienced it. So yeah, that's why I choose to work with children and families. I'll keep it brief, but
No, I like it. So at some point you found time with your, like, I ain't gonna even try to guess your age, but I already know I'm 21, so you gotta be barely what, 18, 19.
I know that's right, girl. Listen. Look.
Like Reba looking like, girl, stop lying.
Listen. I'm gonna say, no, what you gonna say my number low too. Hold on.
Lord.
So at some point you found time. You must have meditated hard enough to sit down and write a book. Tell us why we should buy your book.
So I want to tie it all in. So growing up, I also experienced domestic violence in my home with my parents, arguing. And then I grew up and I experienced it with my brother. I experienced it with my first partner. So it was kind of like the ongoing thing, but it's not anymore. After I got with my son's father, I understood what this whole single mom thing was about. Like I heard about it, but I was actually living it. And it was just like, wow. So when I walked away from the relationship, things got really, really hard. You know, me and my son were living in the car for a few days, 28 days to be exact. And I realized that I needed encouragement. I needed encouragement, but I didn't tell nobody because I didn't want nobody to help me. I wanted to figure out myself, how am I going to get out of this? Because I have to face this challenge. You know, I got to face it. Ain't no mama, I'm grown now. Listen, my mama helped me. My daddy was there too, but I didn't tell them. And so I started meditating and I realized, and I literally wrote different little paragraphs of it, but I never brought it to the surface. Like, you writing a book, it took me so many years to put this, just writing. And I realized single moms need encouragement. Like, I don't care how much support is out here. Single moms need encouragement from as many people as possible. So I wrote the book and I pitched it. Well, and I invited a group of teen pregnant. Mm-hmm. I think it was like 12 of them that were still pregnant, and the other one had their baby already, and they loved us. So.
Really? So I think I'm hearing who you empowered is single moms, and then even some teenagers. So
yes, yes.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to ask you this, Reba, but I want to hear from both of y'all. What is one thing that you found to be helpful in processing your own childhood adversity? So it sounds like writing helped you. Would you say writing was yours too, or would there be other things in terms of processing your own childhood adversities?
Mine was more of therapy.
Therapy.
Yeah, I had
therapy. It went out a little bit, but she said therapy.
I'm sorry, guys. Mine was therapy. And I'm still dealing with some things, but yeah, mine is therapy.
So, all right, so therapy too. So Shequila, for you, how did you learn about meditation? Was it because you were in the social emotional industry, or like how did you learn about meditation?
Well, I learned about it. So I love Oprah, right? And I was watching a show, and she had Deepak Chopra on there. And I was like, I really like this guy. I really like his vibe. I don't know what it's about. And so he was talking about a book, like we talking about. So I order this book and I read this book and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so then he invites me to do a 21-day meditation. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it out, And I was scared because I'm a PK, like church people listen, that's this in another lane meditation, that's how it's perceived by many. And so I just started, I joined it and I kept doing it.
What you laughing at? Reba, what made you laugh? What did she say that made you laugh?
I laugh because we know about PKs growing up in church. So it's like it's
PK, one way on it. Preachers' kids, right? Preachers' kids.
Pastors' kids, preachers' kids. Okay. So I wasn't a pre-K. I mean, a PK, but at the same time, I had a lot of friends that were. And so we know about it. It's one way only. Actually, my husband is a PK. Both his parents. So it's like, yeah.
They say we're the worst ones, but that's not true.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true.
Listen, and my brother say if we the worst ones, the doctor kids is the sickest, the lawyers is in jail. They so we ain't the worst ones. Okay, we are not the worst ones.
Hey. Well, what we know, 1 in 6 people got ACEs, so we all got something to work with. I don't think you can go nowhere.
We all got something. That's right.
I do want to bring this up because people always say, well, how you fix it? You got to do the work, which is what we talked about at the top of the show. But I pulled up these stats, Shequila, and I read them and I was like, this basically solves a whole bunch of problems. And even Jesus meditated. I mean, we can go way back in scripture. Even Jesus meditated. And as we talk about the healing process, I think I was talking about this with Michael or somebody earlier this week, but both of y'all said y'all went and saw a therapist, right? I've seen therapists and I've done the meditation. So we can go way back in scripture. Even people in scripture found somebody to unpack their problems with, to see, like, you know, am I thinking the right way? So if nothing else, we encouraging people, find somebody that you can trust, a mentally healthy adult that you can unpack your situations with, not your homegirls that's gonna say, come on, let's roll out, go beat them up. Not them. Them the ones you don't want to do it with them, because you only gonna make it worse. So if Jesus can meditate and even have a go-to person when they have problems, that means here we are in 2021. Go find you a go-to person that's gonna help calm your nervous system down. So meditation reduces insomnia by half. So if you're not sleeping at night, your brain is not healing. Your body needs sleep in order to regenerate itself. And if you're not sleeping at night, you're going to be on edge like you didn't have 12 cups of coffee every day. So meditation, it said, helps with that. And then even because depression is so common, it said that if you meditated, that it would help reduce the relapses by 12%. That means you got 12% happier days out of the 365 days in the year. Who wouldn't want that? Sounds like better than nothing. So based on your experience and then like looking at these stats, how has what you've done like helped not just you, but the kids that you work with? Because I saw in your profile that you've helped over 500 kids in different capacities of the different types of work that you've done. But now you're working with meditation. How is it helping the kids that you're working with?
Well, the children, believe it or not, the children love it. They love it. They've been sending me reviews and telling me how they're being more focused. It helps them with stress. And I have children from elementary to 29, and they're not children, but 29 in that age.
Technically, it depends on how they behave. And if they behave, they might be behaving like some of your 6-year-olds.
I'm right. Right. But the children actually, they really love it. They love meditation and they love the results. I even have MMA fighters that I go meditate with them before they fight and after they box with root camp. So the kids love it. And it works for them.
I think if I could add to that, kids do love it. The reason why I was talking to Cindy earlier, and I said I started meditation about 3 years ago. And literally, that first thing about sleeping, I'm gonna let you know. If you want to meditate, you're gonna go to sleep. The first thing you're gonna do, you're gonna sleep one way or the other, whether you meditate or not. Trust me.
That means you're doing it right. You're doing it right.
That's when you're doing it right. It was so funny you said that, because me and my husband and my son used to have family Bible class years ago, and so one day I was like, I'm just gonna get to meditating because I'm always angry all the time. So let me start this meditation with my family.
Yeah. Hey.
And so this particular day, I get my husband and my son involved, and I put it on the big TV. I was like, this is what y'all gotta do. It's a guided meditation, and just listen to what they telling you to do. My husband ended up in 2 minutes, fell asleep and started snoring. I was like, oh well. But what's so funny? So me and my son looks at each other like, he is not meditating. I was like, whatever. Me and my son started continuously doing it. And my son started focusing more on school. He started liking meditation. To the point of fact, one day we was riding in the car about a month ago, and I was telling him how I was on edge about something. I was discussing it with my husband on the phone, and my son looks over at me and said, "Have you meditated lately?" I'm like, "You put me off front," but no.
Okay, so I'm going to
get back to doing that.
Right. I'm going to co-sign on what Reba said. Families that are still listening tonight, we are our children's first teacher. We are, if you didn't hear me the first time, I'm gonna say it again. We are our children's first teacher. The fact that her son is now flipping the script, if you will, was like, well, so you're doing your meditating, like that's golden. That is golden. If we want to raise mentally healthy adults, we have to start by modeling it with kids. And even though your husband might have fell asleep at the wheel, if you will, you start somewhere, right?
Right.
I did the same thing, but now I'm in the place where I actually have to set a timer to come out of it because it feels so good to disconnect, to put the phone away, to like not work. I do not lose any sleep at night. I don't watch TV at night anymore. Like I literally do not lose any more sleep at night. Where before I started meditating, Ambien was my go-to to put me to sleep. And y'all saw what Ambien did to Rosie O'Donnell. And if you didn't, you're probably glad you didn't. So I used to have to take drugs to put me to sleep, and now I don't. Right? And again, y'all who watch this is for educational purposes only. Seek your physician. Don't try to do what we do. But again, like meditation will work if you try it, and it may not work immediately because you might fall asleep within 2 minutes. But you get that third eye access, you ain't gonna want to come up no more. Shequila, what you think?
Listen, if I always tell everybody, if you fall asleep, that means you did it. You're doing it right. You're on the right track. Just flow, because the first thing we have to do is surrender and release the need to control. We don't know how much we want to control, like everything. Like I have to do this. Like the need to control is everywhere, and so I would say, huh? You got a question?
I said that's me. That's me. No. Just saying that's me.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the first thing, and so. That's why, people fall asleep because it's like, I can't control, I can't do nothing. I'm just supposed to sit here, and so you fall asleep. But once you surrender and the need to control and just flow, falling asleep, it's good. You on the right track. Next time, you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and meditation will change your life.
Meditation will change your life. And it does mean you're trying to program your brain to do something that it's never done before. But when God created us, he wasn't joking. He was like, y'all got superpowers. Y'all just don't know how to access them, right? He was letting us know we got superpowers. And when you do it, I tell my partner, it's like a picture show. I don't want to come up. Like you literally can see things that you cannot see if you don't practice it. And it works. So we're advocating for meditating, especially for those of us that have had very loose childhoods, if you will. Our brains are what they call is plasticity. It might take a little bit longer depending on how rough your childhood was, but not only will it work for you, the adult, but look at what we're modeling for our children.
Right. Yes. Because my son
turn that R&B down, turn that wop wop down, and meditate.
Meditate.
Put on some music and meditate. If your kids are acting up in school, put on some music and meditate. If your kids can't calm down, put on some music and meditate. If you can't stop snapping on people.
And let me say this too. Also, meditation, I found a way. I use it as a bonding technique with my son, and I'm able to get more information and feedback about how he is emotionally or mentally in that space. So it provides access. So it does help intergenerationally. Like my mom meditates, I meditate, my son meditate, and it's like I said, meditation will change your life.
This is a strategy that both of these ladies have shared with us, and our solution is the problem we want to solve is we want to stop intergenerational cycles of adverse childhood experiences. So we drop in some gems, and we're saying ACEs can be prevented, and one way to help the next generation, obviously, is by teaching them new ways to do things. So Shequila, you did a great job tonight. And I know we're over time. It always gets so good if we go over time. But can I do one more question? And we probably won't get to the OPP, but I want to do one more question because I think it's important for the audience to know from all three of us, based on everything that we said, where do you still get stuck today?
You can go.
I get stuck, and I want to word this correctly because I love children and I work with children. I get stuck when the adults that surrounds the children are childish or petty. That puts me in a, it's like, it puts me in a space, and and I literally am stuck for a little while. I have to go meditate, literally. And I don't want to go in too deep, but I hope it's clear enough. But yeah, that.
So seeing other people like just not getting it triggers you.
Well, maybe it is that they don't get it. I don't know what it is. I don't know how
they don't want to get
it. Huh?
Okay.
I said, or they don't want to get it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll take they don't want to get it.
Or their hosts. I don't be liking to go in on people. Them hosts be like, this is my body. You need to go on with them fixing strategies. This my person.
Right. We ain't trying to fit. Right.
I'm blaming it on the host. Blame it on the host.
The host. Right. The host.
The host. And for those of y'all listen, we said host. HOSTS. Blame it on the host. Reba, what about you? Where do you get stuck?
Mine will be, I still get angry. I still work on anger issues. I still work on, I am currently in therapy, and I say this all the time to people. I am currently in therapy because I still have things that I have to deal with from my past and my childhood traumas and my situation. So I have to work on with the anger of being so snappy and not, like I explained to Cindy, not having those triggers, recognizing the triggers and recognizing if the person is really intentionally trying to hurt me, or is it just they just asking a question, or they're saying something, or they're making a comment, and it'll trigger something in my mind, because it does it to all of us who just don't know it. Sometimes when we get angry, is a trigger from our past, and we might not realize it. Well, now that I'm in therapy, I'm starting to realize triggers now. So mine is the anger. I'm still working on being angry.
Another shameless plug for it. Go get some therapy. Go see a professional. Another shameless plug. I'm gonna share, since I put y'all in the hot seat. I get stuck with, similar to what you get stuck with, Shequila, because we've gone through it, like we grew up in situations like that, and it's like, here's the answer, y'all, come on, let's say the kids so they don't have to go through what we went through.
Right.
So I don't know why that's a trigger for me. When they ain't my kids, why should I care? But it's a trigger for me. Now maybe that's just the Holy Spirit speaking in me, but I'll be like, y'all don't do them kids like that. We went through that same stuff. Like, let's not do that. So I do still get stuck, but I will tell you, having a conversation with myself and realizing that it's a process for everybody. Cindy, you remember how turned up you was. Don't be over there looking and acting brand new. You know how you used to be. So I do have to meditate and pause and just remember that it's going to be a process for everybody, and everybody's host. People's hosts don't want to get kicked out, right? Like, where they gonna go if they get kicked out? So I have to remember that we are not at war against the flesh and blood, and maybe that person just hadn't realized that there's a host that is causing them to bring those energies around their children, or to bring those energies around their families. Yeah. So when I realize it is not my job to fix people, it is my job to be a model. It helps me remember that Most High got it. He got it. You do what I told you to do, and then let me worry about the rest of that. And I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go. Y'all, we are over time, but I love this. Y'all are like really good. It started out rocky, but now I know why, because I ain't do my prayer at the beginning, but I really.
Well, I did a little silent prayer over here now. Hold on. I was like, we forgot what.
I never forget that. Like I've been out for 2 months, so I never forget that. I always do that at the beginning. But we gave the Holy Spirit, we gave him some airtime, so it felt better. We calmed down a little bit, and it felt better. Yeah. I did ask a question to Reba earlier, and I'm gonna leave us here with this. I'm gonna leave us here with this before we sign out, and it is. Come on, where did you go? Girl, I can't wait to get me a show producer to do all of this for me, y'all. One day it is gonna happen. I promise. It's the last one.
Soon.
I'm going to just do a one on person screen. Like it's only going to be one of y'all at a time. And then I want to get this question answered. Where would you be if it wasn't for ACEs? Because all of us have talked about we have all experienced ACEs. So I'm going to let you just do your one plug. It'll be just you on the screen. And I would love to hear you share with us, like, if there was somewhere else which you could be, where would you be if it wasn't for ACEs? Which one of y'all want to go first? Reba practiced it already.
My computer may cut off, y'all.
Yeah. Oh, she gonna hang up on us now.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna stay right here. I'm not gonna press it, but I'm just saying, y'all know.
She gonna hang up on us.
I can't even see myself. But go ahead. Oh, well,
Reba, you want to go first?
Reba, okay, go ahead.
Reba, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay, hold on.
I'll say where we are.
Hold on before you go. You get to go first, Reba. Go ahead. Okay, Shequila, you get to go. You want to go?
Where would I be if it wasn't for ACEs? Honestly, I don't. I can't. I don't think I can answer that question because I don't know what my life. I don't know. I only know what I have experienced. So I don't know where I would be without ACEs. But ACEs,
we are right where we're supposed to be. We are right where we're supposed to be. We're right where we're supposed to be, right in his hands. I had this question with Reba earlier, and we realized that because of, the rocky start that we had, my dream was to go off and be a pediatrician, and I just didn't have the right people encouraging me. But all that to say is that ACEs definitely will interrupt your path, but they also give you a story. So we definitely hope that, people who don't have a choice, kids who don't have a choice, like being born into ACEs, we definitely encourage parents to find ways to heal yourself, because you cannot, if your cup is empty, you cannot fill somebody else's. So we're going to close out tonight. But before we do, I want to make sure that people know how to buy your book. Shequila, your book is on Amazon as well, and I also found it on eBay. Okay. Is that right? Is that where people can go to find your book?
They sure
and
can.
Then everybody that tuned in tonight, thank y'all so much for watching. We're going to close out. If you want to follow Reba, if you want to follow Miss Shequila, their Instagram handles are below at determined now _ and then at Arthur Reba Arve, Arthur _ Reba Arve, if you'd like to follow. And again, y'all, thank y'all so much for watching. ACEs Matter will be back. We're coming back live in September, and we're going to have actually a lot of different people hosting the show. So we'll have a little bit more organization in the background, but we really do appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. And any final words y'all want to leave with the audience tonight in terms of advice, Miss Shequila or Miss Reba?
I would say just try to meditate. Just try one time.
Another shameless plug for meditating.
Right.
Reba, what about you?
I would say get the healing that you need, whether it's therapy, meditation, the things that we talked about. If you know you need healing, start with you first before you point a finger at somebody else. And that's whatever you need. It could be the things that we talked about, or it could be something as small as talking to a pastor or a minister or someone you know that you trust, like Cindy said earlier. Get the healing that you need, because we all need healing. One way or the other, we all dealing with some kind of ACEs. So please get healing.
Y'all have been wonderful guests. I hope
ACEs matter.
ACEs matter. And ACEs matter. Hashtag ACEs matter. Hashtag ACEs matter. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. And I do hope you all have a great night's sleep. I know you will. And we'll be back in touch. And hopefully I can have you guys back on the show again.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye, guys. Hey, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's been a couple months, so things were a little bit off. We do appreciate y'all for watching again. Remember, there are over 125 million adults suffering from things that happened in their childhood, and that ain't right, right? And we just need parents to try to get it together. And for those parents that just don't have the energy, the strength to get it together, we ask, please seek help from mentally healthy adults that may be around you, because your kids deserve a chance and you deserve a chance. What happened to you in childhood is not your fault, but it's 100% your responsibility, our responsibility to help you get the support that you need. If you know someone that needs help, please make sure that you reach out to your nearest domestic violence resource center. I'm going to share some resources towards the end of the slides that show women or men that may be dealing with domestic violence where they can go to get support. But if nothing else, don't sit in it. Don't just sit in it, because sitting in it only makes it worse. Thank y'all so much for watching. We do hope to see everybody back again in September. Make sure you're following the Aces Matter Facebook page to get an update of when we're going to go live again. You all have a great night, and thank you so much for tuning in.
If you have a birthday coming up, or maybe you'd just like to do something for the greater good, please consider starting a personal fundraiser on Facebook and selecting Aces Matter as your cause. Need a reason? Well, we have 3 just for you. Aces Matter helps families in need cover the cost of mental health services. Aces Matter hires local contractors and even stay-at-home parents who need flexible work schedules. We care about humanity, and Aces Matter provides free training and education to those who've been affected by childhood trauma. It's easy to set up a donation campaign from your Facebook account. From your phone or internet browser, type or search www.facebook.com/fundraisers. Select nonprofit, search for Aces Matter, type in how much money you'd like to raise, choose an end date, give your fundraiser a catchy title, edit the default description if you'd like, then click Create. Congratulations. Now you can invite your friends, share on your timeline, and raise money for a great cause. For every ACE story told, an ACE can be prevented. 2 heartbeats from our house to yours.
Aces Matter is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. EIN 85-1246674.